Hi there, boys and girls. It's me, Mrs. Young, again, and I am ready to read with you the book called 11 by Tom Rogers. And today we are going to be reading chapters 13 and chapters 14 today. Now, our first chapter is going to be called The Man in the White Shirt. So we're going back to his timeline. And now the time is 10:02 a.m. So if we can recall back in the last time we read The Man in the White Shirt, it was just 9:59 a.m. So doing my elapsed time, 9:59 to 10:02, it's only 3 minutes later since his cell phone broke, shattered, and went into the gutter, and the big cloud of smoke overtook him. So let's pick up with the Man in the White Shirt. Okay, here we go. The Man in the White Shirt, 10:02 a.m. The man in the white shirt staggered through the choking gray cloud. He couldn't see where he was going. He couldn't see anything. He nearly crashed into a light pole that appeared a foot in front of him. He heard others around him panting as they ran. Someone slammed into him from behind and then disappeared into the cloud. He spun around, disoriented. His eyes stung. He was surrounded by smoke. He couldn't see 5 feet ahead. He had no idea which way to run. He picked a direction and started forward, then bounced off something large and rubbery. He stepped back and realized what it was. A huge tire attached to an airplane's landing gear. It had broken off one of the planes and shot through the tower to land all the way out here in the street. He heard more people running past and followed the sound of their feet. The man in the white shirt ran until the air around him grew brighter. The clouds began to thin. He sprinted for the light, and then he was free, back in the sunshine. 2 fire engines raced past him, sirens blaring. A policeman on the next corner guided the trucks through the crowd, then continued directing the refugees uptown, away from the disaster, to safety. Now, let's talk about that word refugee that you see there. Refuge means that you're trying to seek safety. You're trying to seek a place that will keep you safe and protect you. So these are people who are seeking refuge. So you would call this a refugee. And so they are trying to escape where they're at, this hardship that they're experiencing. The man in the white shirt stopped to catch his breath, coughing, chest heaving. He looked back at the devastation he'd just escaped. One tower continued to burn. Smoke and flame still roared from the upper floors. But where its twin once stood, now there was a hole in the sky. All right, let's go on to our next chapter. Our next chapter is called Terror. Chapter 14, the time is 11:12 a.m. So based on this timeline, I know that this is going to be Alex's view. This is going to be his timeline that we're going to follow right now. Chapter 14, Terror. Safe. Alex casually knocked the dust off his pants just like the pros did on TV. He didn't really beat the tag. Rex just dropped the ball at his feet. Still, a home run's a home run. He glanced at the dugout to see if Nunu had witnessed his triumph, so she could vouch for his story at dinner. But she'd found his Game Boy and wasn't paying any attention. His teammates, though, treated him like a hero. As the game broke up, they pounded him on the back. "Your dog rocks," said Quan, patting Rex on the head. "Guys," Doug suddenly looked worried. "Don't tell my mom I had fun, okay? I don't want her making this a no TV thing a habit." Alex's cell phone started to ring. He dug it out of his pocket and checked the number. His mom. Uh-oh. Mom? Hi, what's up? "I'm just checking in, wanted to make sure you guys are okay." "Oh, we're fine." "No problems on the bus?" "Nuh-uh." "What are you doing?" "Nothing." "What's all that noise in the background?" "I'm messing around with Dougie and Quan." Alex held up the phone. "Say hi, guys." "Hi, Mrs. Douglas." "Where's your sister?" "She's playing with the Game Boy." "You didn't turn on the TV, did you? Remember what I told you?" "Mom." "Alex, you promised me." "I know, we haven't watched TV, I promise." There was silence on the line. "When are you coming home?" he asked. "I don't know yet. We might get busy." He silently pumped his fists. That meant he still had hours to go before he'd have to explain about the dog. I'll call you later, she said. Okay. TV off, okay? It is off. And it stays off. Okay. He waited, hoping she was done. Is that it? I guess so. I love you, hon. Alex winced and looked at the guys. No way he could answer her back. Yeah. Okay. Bye, Mom. As he hung up, Dougie grinned at him. Nice. You totally lied to your mother about being home. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell her the whole truth. Mayday, 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 Quan urgently cut in. Bogies, 2 o'clock. Alex looked around. Jordan McCreevy was standing directly behind him, with Calvin and Deemer backing him up. Okay, let's stop right there. Do you guys remember who Jordan McCreevy is and who Calvin and Deemer are? Those are the 3 boys that got onto the bus, and Jordan was the boy who pushed Alex into the cupcakes and made his cupcakes get squished. So after having our bully lessons at school, have you been able to identify what we would have to call Calvin and Deemer, his 2 friends that hung out with him? Would they be considered, what type of a bystander would they be considered? Okay, are they joining in on the bullying? Are they being part of it? Would we call them onlookers? Onlookers are the ones that just kind of watch and see what's going on, but then they just keep going. Or would we call them well, we definitely wouldn't call them defenders because they're not defending Alex whatsoever. So obviously they would either be the sidekick, where they are joining in, or the encourager, or the reinforcer. And I would probably say that they were kind of between. I would consider that they would be like a reinforcer because they keep letting Jordan keep doing what he's doing by encouraging him to keep it up. I don't see that they are right now at this point, or even on the bus. They definitely did not defend Alex, and they definitely were not onlookers. So they could either be the reinforcer, or we could just call them the sidekicks, that they join in on the bullying. Let's see. Would you look at this? The 3 musketeers, a geek, a freak, and a crybaby. Alex heard shoes slapping pavement. Quan and Doug were running away. Hey, dog, come on, shouted Quan. But Alex stood his ground. Jordan snickered. Did he just call you a dog? A-Dog. It's my call sign on Screaming Eagles 4. Calvin leaned forward impressed. Oh, you've got Screaming Eagles 4. Jordan turned his head slightly towards Calvin, who instantly knew he'd screwed up for speaking without permission. Calvin dropped his eyes to the ground, then folded his arms and glared at Alex like it was his fault. Jordan jerked his chin at the shirt still tied around Alex's head. What are you supposed to be? Some kind of raghead? I bet he's one of them, Deemer said. One of who? Asked Alex. Deemer gave a crazy hoot. You don't know? They don't tell crybabies, Jordan exclaimed. Alex felt his face go red. I'm not a crybaby, he said through gritted teeth, but you're a jerk. Calvin's eyes got wide. Deemer blinked in surprise. Jordan took a step towards Alex. And my dog thinks so too, Alex added. Jordan stopped. What dog? Alex reached back to put a hand on Rex's head and touched nothing. He turned. No dog. Alex took off like a fighter jet launched off an aircraft carrier halfway across the park. He glanced over his shoulder. Calvin was huffing and puffing and drenched in sweat as he struggled to haul his bulk after Alex. Deemer looked like his limbs were made of springs that sent him lurching ahead in a series of herky-jerky leaps and bounds. But Jordan, tall and lean and long-legged, was closing fast. Alex knew he couldn't outrun them for long. He veered across an asphalt playground, vaulted over a seesaw, and dodged through a swing set. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Deemer angling to cut him off. Up ahead, the playground came to an abrupt end, at a railing overlooking a steep drop, where a long stairway led to a lower level of the park. He veered left, straight across Deemer's path. Deemer saw him coming and closed the gap between them in 3 long strides. His hand brushed the tails of Alex's shirt, but Alex felt a burst of adrenaline and sprang free, jumping onto the stairway rail and grinding down the pipe on his heelys, leaving Deemer swinging at empty air. Alex landed perfectly on the path at the bottom, dropped into a tuck, and zoomed down the asphalt. When he'd put some distance between him, he angled toward a brick restroom building, hoping to duck behind it and hide. As he whipped around the corner of the building, he took one last glance behind. Calvin was yelling at Deemer. They weren't watching him at all. Alex breathed a sigh of relief. Whew. The hand caught him on the throat like a clothespin, but his feet kept going. They shot out from under him as the hand tightened its grip and pulled him upright until he was staring into the cold, blank eyes of Jordan McCreevy. Okay, so obviously we know that he is outnumbered because his two friends, Quan and Dougie, they had left the scene. So now it's just Alex trying to defend himself, and there's three of them chasing him and trying to get him. And in the meantime, he's left Nunu back in the dugout of the playground, playing the Game Boy, and the dog is nowhere to be found. So I hope that he can get out of this situation. Let's see what happens. Alex tried to form a word. Nothing came out. He could feel the blood thudding in his head. And then Jordan dropped him like a bag of trash. Alex landed on his knees, gasping for air. He staggered to his feet and noticed they weren't alone anymore. Calvin and Deemer arrived. Jordan nodded at the goons. Alex was still trying to regain his balance when they grabbed him from behind and yanked his arms back hard. He heard his shoulder pop and saw a flash of white as pain shot through his head like lightning. Jordan stood in front of him, only his hand moved down by his side. His fingers flexed, then tightened. He drew his arm back and cocked his fist like a hammer. And that's when the dog growled. Jordan froze. He turned his head slowly, just enough to see Rex crouching behind him, back straight, ears swept, forward, tail rigid and taut. "Scat! Go away," Jordan muttered. The dog's ears twitched. He drew back his lip and growled again. "Stay," said Alex. "Good boy." "He's yours?" Alex nodded. Rex growled at Calvin and Deemer. They let go of Alex and stepped back. The dog took a step forward. Jordan flinched. "Call him off." "I don't think I can. He's wild." Jordan snarled at his goons. "What are your mouth breathers staring at? Get over here." They didn't move a muscle. Rex took another step. Jordan backed into the brick wall. His eyes darted left and right, looking for a way out. "Call him off." Jordan jabbed his finger at Alex as he said it. The dog read it as a threat and lunged at Jordan. Jordan turned and ran. He blew past a startled Calvin and Deemer, who fled right behind him. Rex paid them no attention. He bounded past like they were standing still and quickly closed the gap on Jordan, nipping at his heels and chasing him out of the park and down the block. Alex followed them to the edge of the park. He cupped his hand around his mouth and shouted, "Here, boy!" Rex immediately stopped running. He stared after Jordan until he was certain that the bully wasn't coming back, and then he turned around and came loping back to Alex. Alex knelt down as his dog sprinted the last few feet and jumped into his arms. Alex hugged him tight, but Rex squirmed and wriggled free, took a step back and dropped something at Alex's feet. Alex saw it and grinned. It was a back pocket torn from a pair of jeans. So we can infer whose jeans they probably were, weren't they? "You are the coolest dog in the world." He bent down to scratch Rex's ears, but the dog jumped up and down, licking Alex on the face as Alex rough-housed with him. Celebrating their daring escape, Rex was in mid-jump when Alex suddenly stopped in his tracks. The dog landed on all fours and held still, head tilted to one side, alert to the abrupt change in Alex's mood. Alex frowned and stared back across the empty park. "Where's Nunu?" And that's the end of chapter 14. We will read chapter 15 tomorrow. And I liked this chapter because it really showed how Alex had to deal with bullying situation. And he did stand up for himself. He didn't appear as a target where he was afraid. But thank goodness that he had his dog Rex there to help him out because it looked to me like he was outnumbered and there wasn't an adult around where he can ask for help, because usually when you have a bully situation, if you need to get to someone, you would definitely seek out an adult for help. But at this point he didn't have an adult there to help him, so thank goodness he had that dog Rex. All right, we'll pick up with this book tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.